did Christianity become a world religion? How did a young carpenter in his 20s, whom only spoke the Aramaic language, verbalize a religion that would become one of the world's largest? The path was through Turkey. Let me take you on a journey. In the beginning, Christianity emerged as a small Jewish sect in Judea, devoted to the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. However, it was in the eastern provinces of Asia Minor, now the country of Turkey, that Christianity would transform itself into one of the world's dominant religions. In the 1st century AD, the great cities of Ephesus and Antioch became hubs of early Christianity. Ephesus was one of the largest cities in the Roman Empire after Rome itself. According to most accounts, a Christian community was first established in Antioch in 49 AD through the efforts of Paul and Barnabas. Paul, as a Roman soldier, initially persecuted the followers of Jesus. So how did Paul come to be one of Jesus's and Christianity's most ardent supporters? When Paul was a young man, he trained as a Pharisee, and he was a zealous devotee of Judaism. When Jesus's followers began growing after his death, Paul saw them as a danger who were threatening the Jewish faith. However, Paul was fully converted after having a divine vision of Jesus during his travels to Damascus in 34 AD. Paul himself wasn't what you might expect. He was short in stature, not a good speaker, and he struggled with bad vision all of his life. And while he was preaching about Jesus, he supported himself through manual labor as a tent maker. However, he was tireless and inspiring, teaching people about the words of Jesus. He exemplified how early Christianity spread geographically. Most of Jesus' followers spoke Aramaic, but Paul was a Roman citizen. He spoke both Aramaic and Greek. He wrote his Gospels in Greek, which was a language many more people understood. Also, he told people whom he wanted to convert to the teachings of Jesus that they did not have to convert to the Jewish faith, so no diet restrictions were imposed. He established many early congregations and wrote letters of instruction and encouragement that formed a significant part of the New Testament. Paul first brought Christianity to Ephesus in 50 AD, but his preaching incited riots amongst those whose livelihood depended on selling trinkets at the temple of the Greek goddess Artemis. But the faith took root nurtured by the city's diversity and open trade networks. Paul also took 2 lengthy trips spreading Christianity through Greece and Asia Minor during the 40s and 50s AD. He established churches in many cities. Major Christian communities developed not only in Antioch and Ephesus, but also Paul's birthplace, Tarius, which is also in Turkey. Around 57 AD, Paul was arrested in Jerusalem for causing unrest with his preaching. As a Roman citizen, he appealed to be judged before Caesar in Rome. And though under house arrest from 60 to 62 AD, Paul met and taught Roman Christians during his time in the capital. Unfortunately, Paul was later executed in 67 AD. The missionary efforts of Paul, John, and others allowed the story of Jesus to spread through merchants, migrants, and Roman soldiers traveling in Asia Minor. However, Jesus had other disciples. What roles did they play? The Apostle John, one of Jesus' 12 disciples, also migrated to Ephesus as a leader of the early Christian church. John was one of the first disciples called by Jesus to the Sea of Galilee. John and his brother James were nicknamed by Jesus as the Sons of Thunder because they showed such boldness in supporting his teachings. John, James, and Peter formed the innermost circle of Jesus' followers. According to early accounts, John fled persecution in Judea with the Virgin Mary in 37 AD. Why did Mary come to Turkey with the Apostle John? John and James shared the same mother, Mary, with Jesus. When Mary was a young girl, she was betrothed to Joseph. In Christian beliefs, Mary conceived her first pregnancy by the grace of God. She had other children by her husband Joseph, 2 of which were the apostles, John and James. She supported Jesus throughout his ministry and was present at his crucifixion. Christian writings record that John cared for Mary in a small stone house on the mountains near Ephesus. The veneration of Mary as the Mother of God was common, especially in Ephesus. Mary linked human and the divine realms. Her elevated status in the church expanded Christianity beyond its original biblical interpretations. So how did a group of separate apostles of Jesus that had differing ideas of Jesus' teachings become a unified religion? In the 4th century, events transpired in Turkey that facilitated the ascent of Christianity towards dominance in the region. After reunifying the Roman Empire, Constantine became the first Christian emperor of Rome. However, the realm was still largely pagan. From the capital of Nicomedia in northwest Turkey, Constantine supported some of Christianity's most sacred monuments. With his patronage, he constructed projects that promoted the spread of Christianity within and beyond his empire. Constantine enshrined one of the holiest places in Christianity, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. To unify his religious and pagan diverse empire, Constantine summoned bishops from across the realm together in Nicaea, Turkey in 325 AD. The First Council of Nicaea established the Nicene Creed, which codified the religion's theology. Christianity flowed beyond the frontiers of the realm into the wider medieval world. By the late 4th century, Christianity had reached as far as Ireland and Ethiopia. In 391, Roman Emperor Theodorus I proclaimed Orthodox Christianity as the official state religion of the Roman Empire. A revitalized Christianity streamed forward through trade and pilgrimage. In 300 AD, only 10% of the empire's inhabitants were Christians. But by 500 AD, that figure had risen dramatically to 90% of the Roman Empire's 50 to 60 million people. By the century's end, Christianity had become the predominant cultural force across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. Christianity reigned dominant from Hispania to Syria. However, debates raged over Christ's divinity and if it conflicted with his humanity. The conflicting doctrines threatened to fracture the delicate unity of the imperial church. The Council of Ephesus, under the leadership of Cyril, the Patriarch of Alexandria, affirmed that Christ existed as one unified person with two natures, one fully mortal, the other fully eternal. Salvation was a cooperative act between God and man, with Christ as the mediator, restoring humanity's divinity. But what role had his earthly mother, Mary, played in cosmic salvation? The Council at Ephesus also affirmed Mary's critical role in Christ's incarnation and salvation. They proclaimed her Theotokos, the bearer of God. Mary was revered as both virgin and mother. She was proclaimed to be an exalted intercessor with God and the protector of the faithful. By the mid-5th century, the Basilica of Mary dominated Ephesus' skyline, signaling the city's new religious identity. But how did this council propel Christianity as a dominant world religion that we know today? The refinements made at Ephesus strengthened Christianity's intellectuality, and it expressed a devotion to both Mary and Jesus. Monks from Ireland to Mesopotamia could now practice their avocations within a shared framework. So while originating as a minor Jewish sect in Judea, Christianity within 5 centuries stood as Europe's principal cultural force. Christian merchants, migrants, and soldiers carried forth their beliefs into surrounding lands. In 635 AD, Nestorian Christians had introduced their faith to China's imperial court. By the 6th century, Christianity was practiced from Ireland to Persia and from Scandinavia to Ethiopia. The events that happened on Turkish soil propelled the reach of Christianity worldwide. And this is how Turkey gave us Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Join us as we show you the world. These are my last looks.